fiction, science fiction, horror, fantasy, crime, LGBT, thriller.
You have now entered the House of Mystery.
Welcome back into the House of Mystery, and I'm Al Warren. Mr. Dave Martino's in the house.
In the house.
In the house.
Crawled up from the basement of the House of Mystery.
That's right, and it's October, so it's the time of capers and mysteries and all that sort of stuff, and horror. So you're the horror and the whore, but all of it.
Yes.
Well, today, we've got a returning guest, and he's got a new book out, and it's book 5 in his Twilight Manors in Palm Springs series. It's called Twilight Manors in Palm Springs, The Great New Orleans Powder Puff Caper. Saint Sukie de la Croix, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's always good to have you. So it's been a while since you've been back on. So how's everything been going? How's life going for Saint Sukie over the last year or so?
Well, it's been busy. I've been working hard. The sun, because I live in Palm Springs, the sun is getting to me a little bit this year. But I'm not complaining.
No.
I moved down from Chicago, so I'm not complaining about the heat.
Yeah.
But it is hot.
Yeah, you've been extremely hot from what I see, the weather. But that's a good thing. This story, like this is book 5, so you've had this ongoing series and stuff. Where does that come from for you? Does it just an idea come to you and go, well, I know what I want with these people or these characters, or do you have this all planned ahead of time?
No, I have nothing planned. I don't plan anything in life. Everything's a surprise for me. But I started writing them because I moved to Palm Springs, and because everyone here is ancient, like a gay retirement place, it's impossible to organize a dinner party because someone's always having a colonoscopy on that day, or cancer removed, or something's going on, you know. But I realized when I moved here, I'm known as a writer of gay history. But I started out in the beginning, back in the early 70s, as a comedy writer. And so I don't know, I thought I've done my bit for the community. I've written my history books. Now I just want to do something that's fun in my old age. And I realized that nobody writes about old gay men. It's almost like we don't exist. So I thought I'd write about a couple that did what I did with my husband and moved from Chicago and came to Palm Springs to retire, but it never worked out like that for them. I mean, they stopped work, but they seem to stumble from one chaotic situation to the next. Because I think there's something about old age that is funny.
Right.
And apart from because it's true, you stop caring about things you used to care about, and, you know, I know your bones are aching and all the rest of it, you know, and every morning I wake up and wonder which part of me is going to hurt today. You know, There is a funny side to getting old.
Right.
I think it's just giving up caring about certain things. But I wrote the first book, which was Twilight Manors in Palm Springs, God's Waiting Room. And I meant to stop it there, but these characters are haunting me. And I did another book, and there's 5 here on my desk.
Wow.
It's amazing. And they will not leave me alone. Every time I finish one, I think, well, now I'm going to write something else. But it's like they come back into my mind and say, excuse me, we haven't finished speaking yet.
Right.
You know, we have other things going on that you need to write about. So that's how I ended up with 5.
Wow. So these characters, Brian and Stéphane, right? So who are they? Like you say, you hear them and see them and feel them, so they're like real people to you, like as in real characters and stuff.
They do because of the way I write fiction. I never know what's going to happen, and you'll get other writers saying this as well, I'm sure. I get an idea, I get a title. For one of the books, which is The Peculiar Case of the Follies Dancer, I was in a restaurant with a friend of mine, and we were sat in a booth, and he dropped his wallet down between the wall and the booth. And I said, well, we couldn't get it out. So I said, well, let's pull the booth away. So we did. There was a cracking noise. But and we managed to get the wallet back. But in my head, I thought, I wonder what would happen if the whole wall fell down on top of us and a skeleton fell out. And that was the beginning of the book. And when I started that book, that's all I had. So I started writing and saying we were sat there having, Stéphane and Brian were sat there having breakfast, and the wall came down, the skeleton fell out, and then I sat there staring at the screen because I had nothing else. But then they kind of start speaking to you, and in the end, it's almost like they're living their life, and you're documenting it. You're just watching them and documenting it. And sometimes I get an idea, especially for the ending of a book, but they won't let me do that. They always have a better ending. So I learned long time ago not to fight with the characters once they start living their own lives. And I know all this sounds very cosmic and spiritual. It isn't. It's just the way my mind works.
Right. Well, writing humor, especially for these characters, do you think you need maybe a sense of timing for comedy in prose, or is it more just kind of like truth-telling and stuff that everyone experiences that creates the comedy?
Comedy is, I'm going to say this, it's not going to be popular, but comedy, you cannot learn to write comedy. You've either got it or you haven't got it. Timing is something that just comes naturally to me. I don't have to work out where the joke ends or this paragraph needs a joke here. Sometimes when I do a first draft of a chapter, I look at it and I think, no, there's got to be some jokes. There's not enough jokes in there. It's a technical thing. So I sit and think of jokes. Timing is everything with comedy. The other thing you come up against is political correctness, which is one of the reasons I wrote this first book in the first place, because I heard that in England they're censoring one episode of Fawlty Towers because it upsets the Germans. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous, They shouldn't have invaded Poland, should they? So I thought that was ridiculous. So I thought, no, I'm gonna protest against this nonsense, And I thought, if I trigger some 15-year-old with blue hair in Portland, Oregon, I really don't care. I don't care about that. I'm 73 years old. I'm going to die fairly soon. So if I upset somebody, I don't care.
Well, there you go, right? I mean,
it's a protest.
So you're not really thinking about the reader over your shoulder as you're writing these books, or as you're putting it down, or before you put it out. Let's say you're not really thinking about what they're going to think or care about it.
No. I never consider the reader. All the books I've written, including the history books, the first book I wrote in America was Chicago Whispers, which is the history of lesbian and gay Chicago. And I went to the bookstore and said, have you got a book on lesbian and gay Chicago? And they said no, so I wrote one. All my books, all the fiction, or the non-fiction is all written. They're all books that I wanted to read that nobody else wrote. So I had to write them myself to read them. So the comedy one is just, I think it's a good time to laugh, People are so uptight these days with, the world. It seems to be in a mess. There's global warming and all this stuff. And I think it's good to laugh. And I think it's good to laugh at old age.
Right. Well, so there's no real hidden meaning, or there's no subtext. This is a purely entertainment series. Oh, yes,
it is. It's purely entertainment. There's no message here. I've been waving a gay activist banner all the way back to the Gay Liberation Front, and I'm just too tired to wave that banner anymore. That's for young people to fight for gay rights. I'm just writing something. I'm writing something to make old gay people laugh. And a lot of young gay people are buying it as well. But the thing that's amazing to me is straight people. I'm getting a lot of straight people buying this book, and I don't know why.
Trump supporters.
Well, no, not Trump supporters. I don't think, I've never met a Trump supporter. And where I live, there's no Trump signs up anywhere. I don't know where they live, but they're not living near me.
Well, that's a good thing.
Maybe they're too frightened to put it up,
Yeah.
The books are also, they're like, I wanted to do like a Hardy Boys. I see all these Hardy Boys books, and I wanted to do like an adult version of that. Instead of two young boys getting involved in adventures with, mysteries and that kind of thing, I wanted two adult gay men to get involved. with that. The other reason I wrote this is because I noticed a lot of American people love British humor. Absolutely fabulous, keeping up appearances, even Benny Hill, Monty Python. But that kind of humor, the Americans can't do. Americans do a different kind of humor, but they like the British humor. And I wonder what would happen if I put British humor into the mouths of American characters. This is why I started with this, because I thought that would be an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
It's a very British sense of comedy that I'm using here. And any British characters I have in these books are hideous. Made them really quite horrible people.
Nice. Did you create them after people you know, or?
I think I'll tell you, when the first book came out, I told all my friends that they were in there. And they all went out and bought the book, and none of them are in there.
But have you killed anybody?
No.
That's in your books. We won't tell.
No, there's a lot of people die in the book. I mean, they are mysteries. They do solve mysteries. They're ridiculous. I mean, the first book, the mystery is about some drug-running nuns and a Carol Channing sex cult. So they're pretty ridiculous in a kind of Monty Python way.
That's interesting, how you do that.
Well, people either like them or they really hate them. But not everybody reads all books. I don't read Stephen King, not my kind of book. I don't read the Bible, because it's boring. Not everybody reads the same books. But the people that do buy this book, I get these emails. Somebody sent me, said they threw up their coffee reading it in Reykjavik airport because they were laughing so much.
Well, that's a good thing, right? I mean, that's...
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a bit worried somebody might actually die laughing, though. That would...
Well, then you can put that in your next book, right? I read the last one, so... and so Stéphane taking a cure for his homosexuality, and it didn't work. Well,
no,
he's still gay.
No, it doesn't work.
Oh,
but he thinks he's just gonna try it. They do get into some scrapes, in this book. At the end, well, they go to this powder puff convention because Stéphane collects powder puffs in New Orleans, and they find out all these chihuahuas are being kidnapped, and they don't know why, all around the New Orleans area. So it's really, they solve that mystery. And I'll tell you, until the last few pages, it was a mystery to me. I didn't know why the chihuahuas had been kidnapped. So the book reveals itself. I tried planning a book, writing down and planning every chapter, but then I'm bored. I can't write it. So it's all by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah. Well, you do it the way you do it. Now, how do you, so with living with these characters and hearing the voices and them telling you, I need this, I need that, and you go through all this stuff day to day for the year, how does this change you? How does it affect you?
Well, I'm very disconnected from the world anyway, I have to admit. I don't mean this in any cosmic sense whatsoever, because I am a true atheist and I am not spiritual at all. But I've always felt since childhood that I didn't belong here. I don't know where I do belong. I mean, obviously I'm a human being and the same as anybody else. But I've never, ever, I don't think I've ever felt like I fitted in even for 1 second. So I've always been on the outside. It's like I was put here to observe what was going on and not to participate. So living with fictional characters it just fits in with everything else.
It's the norm.
Yeah, it's the norm for me. I function. I do everything, I pay the mortgage and everything or whatever. But, I am definitely disconnected from the real world. I find myself, every morning I wake up, I go to a cafe that I go to and I make notes and I look at people. And sometimes I describe them just as a writing exercise and guess what they do. I guess what they do in their lives or where they're going or, and it really is a great writing exercise that I would recommend to any writer. Sit in a cafe, listen to other people's conversations, which are usually unbelievably tedious. Yeah. What people talk about, in Palm Springs, they talk about Real estate, Hollywood stars. It's pretty limited, but I'm always watching. I'm never a part of anything. Even if I'm in a group, I'm always I can't stop. I just listen to everybody.
Well, you observe and listen and make fun of the real world.
That's exactly what I do, because really, on one level, the world is just a big joke. You know? It is. I mean, I know it's serious, like Trump is serious and we're all worried about that. But really, if you look at it another way, it's like this circus clown is running for president. It's funny, you know. It's a funny side to it.
Well, I'm wondering, too, since you don't plan, is it difficult to keep up the continuity within your series? Or do you have some way that you keep track of all that?
I started doing character. Yeah, it is, because I need to know in book 5 where they went to school, because I know somewhere I mentioned it in book 1, and I forgot, you know. And there's so much in the books, so much craziness, you know, because Stéphane actually is fluent in Swedish chef, that language. I don't know if you know. You can Google it. You can translate from English into Swedish chef.
Like the Muppets, Swedish chef?
Yeah, the Muppets. Yeah, you get the Muppets.
Verdez-vous?
Right. That's it. That's what it translates. It translates it for you. So
perfect.
So I had to remember, and I'd forgotten that Stéphane is a Trekkie as well, and you know, and I remembered that at the last minute. So yeah. But I'm sure there's some continuity errors. I'm sure somebody will find them, but nobody's found them yet. I do know that Stéphane came from Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is a graveyard with lights. I don't know if you've ever been there. And Brian comes from Lowell, Massachusetts, where Betty Davis and somebody else came from. I forgot who it was. Jack Kerouac. The books are ludicrous, you know. But they make me laugh, and they seem to make other people laugh as well.
Did you take them after other people like Brian, Stéphane, or are they?
Well, they must be, really, because we only write about the people we know. I mean, I do think I suggested to my husband that they do seem a bit like us, but they do things that we would only think about doing. You know, I mean, if someone cut us off, you'd want to let their tires down or something. Right? That would be the first thought. I'll follow them home, I'll scratch the car, I'll let their tires down. But you don't do that. Brian and Stéphane would.
So they give you freedom that you'd like to have.
Yes, I suppose so, yeah. Yeah. I suppose we could aspire to being like them a bit.
Yeah. Helps you kind of, you know, get through life. Do you think there'll be more then? How's that? Do you plan to do more? Will there be more?
Oh, no, I started another one.
Oh.
And, this one, I don't know if this is going to happen, because I don't know what's going to happen. But do you know the big Marilyn statue?
Yeah.
Yeah, she starts crying. So I don't know why. And also a woman has got her head blew up in a hair salon. She had a really bad hair day, and her head blew up, and I don't know why. But the owner's Shih Tzu ate one of the ears. That's all I know. So I've been fiddling about with that, but I don't know what it's about. But that's what's happened so far.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't seem to leave. They won't leave me alone. They just won't.
Well, take it as it comes, right?
Well, I'm thinking, you know, when you're 73 years old, it really doesn't matter anymore, does it?
Right. Well, you know, you enjoy it. You know, take it while it comes. You know, do it.
Well, that's what I'm doing now. I'm really just writing these things for my own amusement, to be honest.
Right. Well, and so are you ever going to go back to more, let's say, nonfiction, like more of the history and stuff like that, or are you just going to stick?
Well, I've actually just given my archives to the One Institute in Los Angeles. I know it's a gay archives and museum. I think it's attached to the University of California, and it's in it's massive archives, and I asked them if they wanted my archives. I have 64 boxes of gay history and ephemera and newspapers, and they came and got it. So that's all been donated. And all the work that went into writing my history books, that's all gone now. Whether I'll do it again, I don't know. I don't want to at the moment, but if somebody comes up with an idea, then I might be interested in going back to it. I don't know, because I don't plan anything. I can't seem to plan anything. I gave up on that years ago.
Well, it's such amount of work too, right? And
it's a lot of work, and I'm slowing down a bit. And also, I mean, there's things I wish people would write about Los Angeles. I did a bar book called Last Call Chicago with Rick Carlin, and that's like an encyclopedia of 1001 gay-friendly bars in Chicago, going back to the 20s. Now, he's just done with somebody else. He's done Last Call South Florida, which is an encyclopedia of 1001 gay-friendly bars in South Florida. So that was the last history book I worked on, and that was with Rick Carlin. So I wish somebody would do that for Los Angeles, but I don't know enough about it, and I don't think I have the energy. But if somebody came up with the idea, I would certainly get on board as in a sort of advisory capacity. But I wouldn't. I don't think I would put my name on another history book. It's other people need to do it. It was years. It was like when my archives went, I thought that's 30 years of my life going out the door. I have spent 30 years in those archives, working on my books and working on columns and articles for newspapers. And I was in 2 documentaries about it as a talking head. And I thought, I think I've done my bit with that. Now it's just having fun.
Yeah, no, it's just about having a good time.
Yeah, and in Palm Springs, everybody is my age. In fact, there's a lot older than me. I'm chicken of the desert for some of them.
You're the young'un. You're the teenager. That's all good. Well, fantastic. Well, listen. Now, are you doing social media, or you do have your own website, or is it just the Rattling Good Yarns Press?
Well, yeah. No, I have Facebook. I mean, people can find me on Facebook. There's only one Sukie Delacroix.
Yes, this is true.
In the world, probably. In fact, I changed my name. That wasn't my birth name, but when I changed my name, I went to change my driver's license. And the guy said, "Are you sure this is a name?" Because I canonized myself years ago. I put Saint to the front. I wrote this article for a paper in Chicago saying I would never be canonized by the Catholic Church, so I was doing it myself. And I'm the patron saint of something, but I can't tell you what it is because this is a family show.
Well, it's of something good, right? So, always.
Oh, yes, it's very good.
Well, there you have it. Well, that's all we need to know. Well, we'll have the book up and the Rattling Good Yarns Press website up so people can find it. And, of course, it's called Twilight Manors in Palm Springs. And this one is book 5,
Yeah.
The Great New Orleans Powder Puff Caper. So, St. Sukie Delacroix, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Sukie.
This has been a production of the House of Mystery Radio Show. To find out more about our show, guests, or hosts, go to our website at houseofmysteryradio.com.